Will artificial intelligence replace programmers? This is a question that many people have been asking me in recent months as they consider starting their journey into programming. We will now analyze 16 points that demonstrate that artificial intelligence will definitely not replace programmers. Hello, this is Kazimierz Spin. Welcome to the Code with Kazik channel, where I demonstrate how to effectively learn programming and become a successful programmer. People want to profit from these tools and create clickbait titles. Recently, we have seen a lot of new AI-based tools like ChatGPT and Devin, which are actually products of large companies that have invested a lot of money in these tools and cannot afford for the project to fail. They simply want to make money from these tools. As a result, they often introduce a plethora of clickbait headlines designed to capture the imagination and convince potential customers to use their tools, and they profit from it. It's a simple business model, so it's meant to be a sexy theory, with controversial slogans like artificial intelligence replacing programmers, but in reality, it has little to do with the truth. This is typical clickbait. If we delve deeper into the analysis of these tools, you'll notice that these companies showcase only the best aspects of how their tool works, precisely to encourage people to pay for its use, meaning they want you to pay for using these tools. Consequently, they convince you that it's amazing, that it's a revolution, but as I mentioned, there's nothing revolutionary about it. Of course, there are some cool applications of these tools which I'll discuss later, but nothing extraordinary. Such a tool will definitely not replace programmers. If AI is to replace jobs, it will first replace many other professions, and in my opinion, programmers are at the end of that list. If you know what a programmer's job looks like, take a moment to consider whether the profession of programming can really be so easily replaced. Is programming really so simple that it is at the front line to be replaced by artificial intelligence? Probably not. And what about other professions, like lawyers or doctors? If anything, those jobs will be replaced much sooner than programmers. If AI is going to replace any jobs, programmers are indeed at the end of that list. If artificial intelligence were to replace programmers, the entire world would simply change. Everything would function differently than it does now. As I mentioned, programmers will be replaced last, and new professions will emerge, and it would be better to have technical and programming knowledge then, as it will help you navigate the new world more easily. Only those who do not understand programming might think that AI will replace programmers and continue to fuel this bubble. Programming is constantly changing. In the past, programming was done with simple tools where if you forgot to add one character, you could spend several days trying to find that error. Every year, programming environments are being improved where programmers work. Now we have Visual Studio, which, among other features, has IntelliSense that suggests syntax. Autocomplete, which after typing a few characters suggests, for example, method or property names that we want to use. We have code snippets, where typing a few characters and pressing the tab key generates the entire structure we want to create. A multitude of functions that make programming easier for us. This didn't exist before. Now, if you make a typo in your code, you will immediately receive a notification. The editor will detect it and point out where you probably made a mistake. Thus, programming is becoming continuously easier. These tools are not created to replace programmers, but to facilitate their work. The same goes for AI. Previously, you could search for knowledge on Google using various programming forums, Stack Overflow. If you had a problem, you would look for answers on those platforms. And now instead, you can use AI, which can help you find such not overly complicated information faster, although you can't always trust that information. AI supports the work of programmers. So, as I mentioned before, these tools, if anything, only handle some basic, simple tasks and won't be able to create advanced applications because it's not that straightforward. Just like a few years ago, there was a huge hype around GitHub Copilot, which was also supposed to replace programmers, but as it turned out, it only increased their productivity. Thanks to AI, we will spend less time creating simple, repetitive code. It will never replace the best programmers, so focus on your development. Programmers are different. There are those who continuously grow throughout their careers and climb the career ladder, and then there are those who got a job and at that point stopped expanding their knowledge. At work, they do the simplest tasks, and only when they encounter a problem do they look for materials that can help them. If you're afraid that artificial intelligence might take your job, strive to be in that first group. Develop yourself, expand your knowledge, acquire new skills, focus on more advanced tasks, and then I am convinced that you will always manage. There will always be work for you, and recruiters will be competing for you in the job market. As I mentioned, artificial intelligence does well only with simple tasks, so if you are or want to be a programmer who deals only with trivialities at work, with simple tasks, then you might have something to worry about. However, if you focus on development, you can sleep soundly. You will definitely find a job and thrive in this profession. A good programmer will not be replaced by artificial intelligence. Code generated by AI always requires verification. I can't imagine using code generated by artificial intelligence without prior verification. It's hard to trust 100% such code that was written by someone else. Moreover, artificial intelligence often makes various mistakes, and relying on code without verification is a shot in the foot. Such code always needs to be checked. Otherwise, there will be bugs, data leaks, and huge costs. However, to verify such code, you need to have programming knowledge. Returning to the responses from artificial intelligence, notice that no matter what you ask artificial intelligence, you will always get some kind of answer. Even if artificial intelligence doesn't fully know whether what it has written is actually correct or true, it has been designed to always respond. I have tested its functionality multiple times and received incorrect answers, yet the AI insisted that everything was correct. Therefore, a programmer is always needed to oversee what is generated. Code generated by AI is not secure. How can you imagine managing an entire project with an external tool like artificial intelligence when there is a lot of sensitive data that we do not want to share with such tools? Companies will never share such data with these tools because it is unknown what the AI will do with it. We don't know what is inside, we don't know what the code is, so we can never trust it 100%. Similarly, AI should not have access to government data or other medical information about patients. Everything must be well secured, and no AI should have access to it. Moreover, it later learns from this data and shares it with others, or simply bases its proposals on this data. What assurance do you have that AI won't use your code and that it won't be stolen? None. Moreover, it will definitely use that code. As a result, there are already bans in companies to avoid relying on AI when designing applications. A programmer's job is not just about writing code. What most people outside the industry do not realize is that programming is not just about writing code. Programming is about finding the best solution to a problem. A programmer's work consists of various tasks and stages, such as understanding the problem, designing a solution, searching for the optimal solution, gathering requirements, analysis, task planning, communication with other team members, debugging, planning, changing assumptions, and only then writing code, testing, and deployment. Will AI replace programmers at each of these stages? I don't think so. Companies have a lot of old systems and applications that AI cannot handle. Many applications and large systems were written long ago, and companies are now maintaining and developing these solutions. There is no chance that AI could navigate these projects and continue to develop them on its own. It is impossible, and only those who have no idea what a programmer's job really looks like can say such things. It is difficult for AI to navigate any legacy code, especially without any documentation, not to mention the fact that these companies would want to share that code with AI. Remember that customer requirements are complicated and above all, dynamic. They often change. If there are any layoffs now, they are not due to AI replacing them, but rather because there was too much work before. Some AI enthusiasts connect the recent layoffs of programmers from certain large companies and claim they were replaced by artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, I must disappoint these individuals because, although there have indeed been some high-profile layoffs, they have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. The fact is that in recent years, when there was a lot of noise online about a certain virus, the demand for programmers increased significantly. There were countless orders, and companies simply hired too many programmers, which is why layoffs had to happen in those companies. However, those programmers are not unemployed for long and find jobs in other companies that simply weren't hiring as much at that time. Do not connect this fact with artificial intelligence. There have long been many tools that facilitate programming, such as creating websites using drag and drop. As you probably know, there are currently plenty of tools that allow you to create simple websites using drag and drop. Such solutions have been around for many years, and as you can see, just because this option exists doesn't mean it replaces programmers. Why is that? It's because with these tools, you can only create a very basic website that lacks any logic, and you can't do anything more complicated there. The same goes for WordPress, which also allows for website creation, but you can only make simple things there. To be honest, many non-technical people still struggle with it and need a programmer to create a site for them. Nowadays, WordPress is more often used by programmers and technical people than by regular folks. Let me tell you a funny story. Just a few days ago, I was watching a story on Instagram from a popular entrepreneur who was thrilled that he added a few links, photos, and some text using drag and drop in a certain tool and was able to create a website based on that. He then shared some comments suggesting that programmers should be worried about their jobs in the age of AI. It only shows how unaware people are and how little they understand about programming. They don't realize that such tools, which don't even rely on artificial intelligence, have been available for many years and can only create some cheap, simple websites. Nothing complicated. Generally, even if there are tools that facilitate the creation of websites, ordinary people prefer not to use them. They would rather hire a professional than struggle with it themselves. Look at another example. Just because you can do something with a car, like change filters, oil, brake discs, pads, or whatever, doesn't mean you want to deal with it. After all, you usually prefer to leave it to a specialist, while you can focus on what you're good at. Faster programming doesn't mean layoffs for programmers. As I mentioned, artificial intelligence can support the work of programmers, and that's fine. It is useful as a tool in their work. This way, we increase our work efficiency, and programming will simply be faster. However, this does not mean that just because programming is faster, we can deliver value more quickly and create applications. It means that programmers will be laid off. On the contrary, there will be more work and perhaps even higher salaries rather than layoffs. Currently, everything is also moving towards digitization, so programmers have more and more work. AI handles problems that someone has already solved quite well. Artificial intelligence is based on code that has been created before. It performs well with problems that have already been solved by someone else and can access that code or information. It relies on code that has already been written, on problems that have already been solved, and based on that, it proposes its own solutions. However, new problems continue to arise and AI cannot handle them. It is difficult to look inside. How does artificial intelligence work? It has some input data, then goes through some embedded logic, which are mechanisms it has learned based on some data, and returns us some information or data. However, here lies the problem that we do not know what is inside, and it is hard for us to fix it. So if it generates a bug, it won't be easy to fix it, because we do not have access to what is inside. In this case, artificial intelligence must relearn. It may actually correct the mistake we point out, but it could also make another mistake, making it difficult for us to respond to errors in the solution. Nevertheless, it is worth using it as an assistant, but not as the main tool. I wanted to make this a separate point because, despite the fact that artificial intelligence will not replace programmers, there is no need to fight it. We should treat it as a help in programming. We can use it as an assistant in programming, and in that role it can be effective. A person must be able to solve a given problem, and AI can only help us with some simple, repetitive tasks. Many people envy programmers. Those who envy programmers eagerly share clickbait titles because they want to attack us and jab at us. Unfortunately, many outsiders have a negative opinion of programmers because they envy our work. These people think that programmers just sit in front of a computer, click a bit, and earn huge money. Now they have found some clickbait titles saying that artificial intelligence will replace programmers and are eager to share this information further. I suggest not to worry about it and to continue on our path to develop, learn programming, and find our dream job. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this film, be sure to join my community, where you'll also have access to exclusive additional materials and, most importantly, fantastic special bonuses. The registration link is located in the description box below the video. See you in the next episode.